Marcus Chen stood by the large window on the observation deck. His hands rested behind his back as he watched the stars. The human research ship Pathfinder had been stationed at the neutral meeting point for 3 days now. Marcus was the ship's commander, but tonight he was just a man who needed some quiet time. The observation deck was empty. Most of the crew was asleep or working in other sections. Marcus preferred it this way. He could think clearly when he was alone. He watched as a sleek alien vessel approached the station. The ship's design was unlike anything humans built. It had smooth curves and a surface that seemed to shimmer with inner light. The Velrathi. Marcus had read the reports about them. Humanity had only made contact with this species 6 months ago. The Velrathi were advanced and mysterious. They rarely spoke about their technology or their culture. What little humans knew came from brief diplomatic meetings and cautious exchanges of information. The alien ship docked smoothly with the station. Marcus found himself wondering what the Velrathi looked like in person. He had seen pictures and videos, but those never captured the full reality of meeting another intelligent species. That was something Marcus had learned during his 20 years in the exploration service. Pictures could not prepare you for the moment. When you stood face to face with someone from another world, the door behind Marcus opened with a soft hiss. He did not turn around at first. He assumed it was one of his crew members. But then he caught a reflection in the window. The figure that entered was not human. Marcus turned slowly. She stood near the entrance. Her skin was silver and smooth like polished metal, but clearly alive. Patterns of soft blue light pulsed slowly across her arms and face. The lights moved like waves on water. Her eyes were large and dark with no visible pupils. She wore a simple suit that seemed to be made from the same material as her ship. Everything about her spoke of grace and purpose. Marcus realized he was staring. He tried to look away, but his eyes kept returning to the patterns of light on her skin. They were beautiful in a way that made him forget his manners. He had trained for first contact situations. He knew the protocols. But standing here now, he felt like a child who had just seen snow for the first time. She caught him looking, her head tilted slightly to one side. Marcus felt his face grow warm. He was the commander of a human vessel, and here he was acting like a tourist. He opened his mouth to apologize, but she spoke first. "You are curious?" Her voice was soft but clear. She spoke perfect English with just a hint of something musical in her tone. "Why do you only observe from far away?" Marcus was surprised by the directness of her question. He cleared his throat. "I apologize for staring. I meant no disrespect." She walked closer. Her movements were fluid and deliberate. "I did not say I was offended. I asked why you only look. Humans do this often. You watch, but you do not participate. You study, but you do not experience." Why? Marcus thought about her question. It was not something he had considered before. "We are careful. My species has learned to observe before we act. It has kept us alive. But at what cost?" She stopped a few steps away from him. The blue lights on her skin pulsed a little faster. "I am called Aryavas. I am a scientist studying energy patterns in this region. I have read about humans. Your species survived a difficult homeworld. You had to fight for everything. I understand this made you cautious. That's right." Marcus gestured to the window. "Earth was not kind to us. We learned to think before we touched, to plan before we moved. It became part of who we are." Aryavas looked out at the stars. "My people are different. We believe understanding comes through direct contact. We touch to learn. We connect to grow. When we first discovered space travel, we did not send probes. We went ourselves. When we met other species, we did not hide behind screens. We approached them directly." "That sounds dangerous," Marcus said. "Perhaps." Aryavas turned to face him again. "But we learned faster than we would have otherwise. We made mistakes, but we also made true connections. Can you say the same about human methods?" Marcus felt defensive, but he could not deny her point. Humanity had been exploring space for over 200 years. In that time, they had made contact with 17 intelligent species. But humans had no close allies. no deep partnerships. Most relationships were formal and distant. Trade agreements and information exchanges, but nothing more. There is an anomaly 3 systems from here, Aryava said suddenly. My ship detected unusual energy readings. The patterns do not match anything in our databases. I came to this station to request human cooperation in studying it. I was going to speak with your superiors tomorrow, but now I think I should speak with you first. Why me? Marcus asked. Because you watch. You observe. This anomaly needs both our perspectives. Valrathi, directness, and human caution. I propose a joint mission. Your ship and mine. My crew and yours. We go together and we study this phenomenon as partners. Marcus felt his pulse quicken. A joint mission was exactly the kind of opportunity the Exploration Service dreamed about. Real cooperation with an alien species. A chance to learn and maybe to build something lasting. But it was also risky. He barely knew Aryava's. He did not understand Valrathi culture or methods. I would need to review the data, Marcus said carefully, and discuss it with my officers. Of course. Aryavas nodded. But I ask you to consider something, Commander Chen. Your species will never truly understand the universe if you only look. Eventually, you must reach out. Eventually, you must touch. The question is whether you will do so with allies or alone. She turned and walked toward the door. Just before she left, she paused and looked back at him. I will send you the data. Review it with your human caution. But when you are done, ask yourself what you really want. Do you want to watch the universe from behind glass? Or do you want to be part of it? The door closed behind her. Marcus stood alone again in the observation deck. But everything felt different now. The stars seemed closer somehow, full of possibility and challenge. He looked down at his hands. Hands that had touched controls and screens and reports, but never anything truly alien. Never anything that might change everything. Marcus made his decision. Tomorrow he would review the data. He would consult with his officers. He would follow protocol. But he already knew what his answer would be. Aryavas was right. It was time for humanity to stop just looking. It was time to reach out and touch the universe. Whatever came next, it would be interesting. Hash. She caught him staring. Don't just look human. Touch. Hash hash part 2. The anomaly's secret: the planet looked dead from orbit. Its surface was gray and cracked like dried mud. No atmosphere showed on the scanners. No life signs registered, but the energy readings were impossible to ignore. They pulsed from somewhere deep below the surface in patterns that seemed almost deliberate. Marcus stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder watching the view screen. Next to him was Lieutenant Sarah Park, his second-in-command. Behind them, 3 other officers monitored their stations. Through the viewport, Marcus could see the Valrathi ship. Aryavas had named it the Luminous Path. It moved with the same fluid grace as its creator. Energy readings are getting stronger, Sarah reported. Whatever is down there, it is definitely reacting to our presence. Both ships, or just one? Marcus asked. Both, sir. It started when the Luminous Path entered orbit. It increased when we arrived. The pattern suggests the anomaly is responding to multiple sources. Marcus touched his communication device. Commander Chen to Aryavas. Are you seeing these readings? Yes, Marcus. Her voice came through clear and warm. In the 3 days since their first meeting, they had prepared for this mission together. She had started calling him by his first name on the 2nd day. He had not objected. My ship's sensors confirm what yours show. The anomaly is aware of us. It is inviting us closer. Inviting? Sarah looked worried. That seems like a dangerous assumption. Perhaps, Aryavas replied. She must have heard Sarah's comment. But consider this, Lieutenant. If the anomaly wanted to harm us, it has had ample opportunity. Instead, it pulses in a steady rhythm. Like a heartbeat. Like a greeting. Marcus made his decision. We land both ships. Close to the source of the readings, but not directly on top of it. Full environmental suits for my team. Aryavas, what do your people need? We need nothing. Valrathi biology is more adaptable than human, but we will bring portable shields in case the environment becomes hostile. 2 hours later, Marcus stood on the gray surface of the planet. His suit felt heavy, but secure. Sarah and 2 other crew members stood with him. A short distance away, Aryavas emerged from the luminous path with 3 of her people. They wore minimal protection, just thin suits that seemed more like clothing than armor. The Velrathi walked toward the humans. Aryavas raised one hand in greeting. Marcus did the same. They met halfway between their ships. The readings are strongest in that direction. Aryavas pointed toward a ridge of broken stone. Approximately 2 kilometers from here, the combined team began walking. Marcus noticed how differently humans and Valrathi moved. His crew stepped carefully, testing each surface before putting weight on it. The Velrathi flowed across the ground with confidence. They seemed to trust their instincts in a way humans had forgotten how to do. They reached the ridge and found an entrance. It was clearly artificial. Smooth walls curved down into darkness. Lights flickered deep below, responding to their presence. "This is ancient," one of the Velrathi scientists spoke. His name was Turinvas. "The energy signature suggests this structure has been dormant for thousands of years. Then why is it active now?" Sarah asked. "Because we are here." Aryavas began descending into the entrance. "Come, the answers wait below." Marcus hesitated only for a moment. Then he followed. His team came behind him. The walls glowed softly as they passed. The light seemed to come from within the stone itself. After several minutes of descent, they emerged into a vast chamber. The room was circular and enormous. In the center stood a platform covered in symbols that shifted and changed. Energy flowed through channels cut into the floor. The whole space hummed with power that Marcus could feel even through his suit. Incredible. Sarah whispered. Aryavas walked to the platform. She studied the symbols carefully. This is a network terminal, part of a much larger system. The symbols are instructions. Can you read them? Marcus joined her at the platform. Some of them, they describe a method of connection. Multiple species working together, sharing information through direct neural interface. She turned to look at Marcus. This technology was designed for cooperation between different kinds of minds. Neural interface? Sarah sounded alarmed. That is extremely dangerous. We have no idea what this system might do to a human brain. Agree, it is risky, Aryavas said. But consider what we might learn. This network could hold the knowledge of whoever built it. Scientific discoveries, historical records, warnings or guidance they wanted to leave behind. Marcus studied the platform. Every instinct told him to be careful, to take samples, to study this from a safe distance. That was the human way. But he remembered Aryava's S-words from the observation deck. Eventually, you must touch. How would it work? Marcus asked. Aryavas extended her hand toward him. Velrathi technology uses similar principles. I would need to establish a connection with you first. Then we could both interface with the network together, your mind and mine working as a bridge. Sir, I strongly advise against this. Sarah stepped forward. We should return to the ships and analyze what we have found. There is no need to rush into something so dangerous. Marcus knew Sarah was right by all reasonable standards. But something about this place called to him. The energy patterns. The way the symbols seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. This was what they had come for. Not just to observe, but to truly understand. Aryavas. Marcus reached up and released the seals on his helmet. Sarah protested, but he ignored her. The air in the chamber was thin but breathable. He removed his helmet completely. What do I need to do? Aryava's S-lights pulsed faster, brighter. She removed her own minimal face covering. Take my hand. Open your mind. Trust the connection. Marcus reached out. His bare hand touched hers. Her skin was warm and smooth. The moment of contact sent a shock through his entire body. Not painful, but overwhelming. He gasped as information flooded his mind. He saw through Aryava's S-eyes. Felt her emotions. understood her thoughts without words. She was nervous but excited. She had wanted this moment of true connection since she first saw him. Not romance exactly, but something deeper. Understanding between two beings from different worlds, and then the network activated. The platform beneath them blazed with light. Symbols raced across surfaces. Energy surged through the channels in the floor. Marcus felt his consciousness expand. He was still himself, but he was also more. He was connected to Aryavas, and through her to the ancient network. Images filled his mind. He saw the builders of this place. A civilization of many species all working together. They had created this network as a gift, a tool for cooperation and shared learning. But they had also left a warning. There was a threat, something vast and terrible that moved through the galaxy. It consumed civilizations that stood alone. Only unity could stand against it. Only species working together with direct connection and absolute trust. The builders had failed. They had discovered cooperation too late. The threat had destroyed them. But they had left this network behind. A last hope that someday someone might find it. Someone who could do what they could not. Unite before it was too late. Marcus pulled his hand away, gasping. He stumbled backward. Sarah caught him before he fell. Aryava stood steady, but her lights pulsed wildly. Her large eyes were fixed on Marcus with an intensity that shook him. "You saw it too," she said. It was not a question. Yes. Marcus's breathing slowly returned to normal. The threat. The warning. "We need to tell our people." Alarms suddenly blared from their communication devices. Sarah activated hers immediately. Her face went pale. "Sir, we have multiple ships entering the system. Unknown configuration. They are heading directly for this planet." "Not unknown," Mariava said quietly. "I recognize those energy signatures. They are Krell raiders. Pirates and scavengers. They must have been monitoring this region. They detected the anomaly's activation." Marcus grabbed his helmet. "How long until they arrive?" 20 minutes. Maybe less." They ran for the surface. Behind them, the network continued to pulse. It had been activated. The message had been shared. But now, someone else knew about this place. Someone who would not use it for cooperation and understanding. Someone who would exploit it for power. Marcus reached the surface and saw his ship. He saw the luminous path. He saw the stars above. And he saw the dark shapes appearing in orbit. Ships designed for war and theft. The universe had reached out and touched them. Now they would have to fight to protect what they had found. Together, she caught him staring. "Don't just look human. Touch." Part 3. Cultural collision. The Pathfinder's bridge was quiet except for the hum of engines and the soft beeping of monitoring systems. Marcus sat in his command chair, reviewing the report he would need to send to Earth Command. 3 days had passed since their escape from the Krell raiders. 3 days since he and Aryavas had activated the ancient network. They had barely made it off the planet's surface. The Krell ships had opened fire while both crews scrambled to their vessels. Marcus had ordered evasive maneuvers while the luminous path had deployed some kind of energy shield. Together they had managed to jump to faster than light travel before the raiders could disable their engines. Now, both ships hung in empty space, far from any star system. They were safe for the moment, but Marcus knew that safety would not last. The Krell had seen the network. They would return with more ships. And worse, Marcus and Aryavas now had to explain what they had done to their respective governments. The communication console chimed. Sarah's voice came through. "Sir, Earth Command is ready for your report. Admiral Richardson himself is on the line." Marcus took a deep breath. "Put him through?" The view screen flickered and showed a stern-faced man in a crisp military uniform. Admiral Richardson had been in charge of the exploration service for 15 years. He was known for being cautious and by the book. Marcus suspected this conversation would not go well. "Commander Chen," the Admiral's voice was cold. "I have read your preliminary report. I hope you can explain to me why you decided to physically interface with alien technology of unknown origin." Sir, the situation required immediate action. The network was designed for cooperative use. Aryavas and I determined that direct contact was the only way to access its information. Aryavas. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. The Velwrathi scientist. You have been working quite closely with her, according to my sources. Some might say too closely. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his voice level. The Velwrathi have been valuable partners in this mission, sir. Without their cooperation, we would not have discovered the network at all. What exactly did this network tell you, Commander? Your report mentions ancient warnings and some kind of threat. Do you have any actual evidence? Any concrete data? Or just visions you experienced while connected to an alien machine? The experience was real, sir. Both Aryavas and I saw the same information. The ancient builders left a warning about something dangerous moving through the galaxy. Something that destroys isolated civilizations. The network was created to help species work together against this threat. Admiral Richardson was silent for a long moment. Commander Chen, do you understand how this sounds? You are asking Earth to take action based on a vision you received while breaking multiple safety protocols and directly connecting your brain to alien technology. The medical team is already concerned about possible neural damage. And now, you want us to believe in some ancient threat that may or may not exist? I know how it sounds, sir, but the evidence is there. The network itself proves that an advanced civilization went to great lengths to warn us about something. That has to mean something. What it means is that you allowed yourself to be influenced by Velwrathi methods. They value direct experience over careful analysis. That works for their culture, Commander, but it is not the human way. We survived by being cautious, by thinking before we act. You seem to have forgotten that. Marcus gripped the armrest of his chair. With respect, sir, maybe our caution is holding us back. Maybe it is time we learn to trust our allies. Allies. The Admiral's face turned red. We have trade partners, Commander. We have diplomatic contacts. We do not have allies. And we certainly do not risk the lives of our crew based on alien visions and gut feelings. You are ordered to return to the nearest human station immediately. You will undergo full medical and psychological evaluation, and you will have no further contact with the Velwrathi until this matter is resolved. Do I make myself clear? Perfectly clear, sir, Marcus said through clenched teeth. The transmission ended. The view screen went dark. Marcus sat in silence, feeling the weight of failure pressing down on him. He had tried to do something important. He had tried to push humanity forward, and his reward was to be treated like a reckless fool. The door to the bridge opened. Sarah entered looking troubled. Sir, I just received a communication from the Luminous Path. Aryavas is requesting a private channel with you. The Admiral ordered me to have no contact with the Velwrathi. I know, sir, but she says it is urgent. Something about her own government? Marcus hesitated only a moment. Put her through. Audio only? Aryavas' voice filled the bridge. She sounded tired and frustrated. Marcus, I need to speak with you. My people are not listening either. Join the club. Marcus leaned back in his chair. What did they say? The Velwrathi Council reviewed my report. They say I am wasting time with a species too afraid to act. They do not understand why I bother trying to work with humans when you clearly do not value direct connection. They want me to return home immediately and abandon this mission. So we are both being recalled. Marcus felt a bitter laugh escape his throat. Maybe they are right. Maybe this was a mistake from the beginning. Our species are too different. No. Aryavas' voice was sharp, angry. That is exactly the wrong conclusion, Marcus. Do you not see? This is what the ancient warning was about. Species that cannot work together, that cannot overcome their fear and pride. That is how civilizations fall. What do you want me to do, Aryavas? I cannot disobey direct orders from Earth Command. Can you not? Or will you not? There is a difference, Marcus. I have been studying human history during our journey. Your species has a long tradition of people who broke rules when those rules were wrong. Explorers who went beyond the borders, scientists who challenged accepted knowledge. Leaders who stood up for what they believed, even when everyone told them to stop. Marcus stood and walked to the view screen. He stared out at the empty space beyond. Those people often paid a heavy price for their defiance. Yes, they did. But they also changed your world. They moved humanity forward. Is that not worth the risk? There is something else, Marcus said quietly. The Admiral is right about one thing. We do not have concrete proof, just visions and feelings. What if we are wrong? What if this threat does not exist? We would be throwing away our careers, our reputations for nothing. Do you truly believe we are wrong? Marcus closed his eyes. He remembered the connection. The flood of information when he had touched Aryavas and the network together. It had felt more real than anything in his entire life. He had seen the ancient builders, felt their desperation, understood their warning with absolute certainty. No, he opened his eyes. I do not believe we are wrong, and we must find proof. Real evidence that even our cautious governments cannot ignore. The network showed us that there were multiple terminals, multiple points in the system. If we could find another one, if we could activate it and record what happens, that would be proof. The Krell will be looking for us. And now both Earth Command and the Velrothi Council will be tracking our ships. How are we supposed to search for another terminal? I have an idea, Aryava said. But you will not like it. We need to take one small ship. Just the two of us. We leave our crews behind so they cannot be blamed for our actions. We search for another terminal, and we gather proof. It is dangerous, and it means openly defying orders from both our governments. Marcus thought about his career. 20 years of service. A reputation built on following protocols and making careful decisions. He thought about his crew and what might happen to them if he was branded a traitor. He thought about the comfortable, safe life he could have if he just followed orders and returned to Earth. Then he thought about the ancient builders. How they had failed because they had acted too late. He thought about humanity spreading across the stars but always alone. Always watching from a distance. Never truly connecting with anyone or anything. When do we leave? Marcus asked. He heard the smile in Aryava's voice. Now, Marcus, we leave right now. Before either of us can think better of it, I need to brief my crew first. They need to understand why I am doing this. Of course, I will do the same. Prepare one of your shuttles. Small enough to avoid detection, but fast enough to outrun pursuit. Pack only what we need. We will travel light. Marcus opened a channel to the entire ship. All hands, this is the commander. Report to the main briefing room immediately. I have an announcement to make. 20 minutes later, Marcus stood before his crew. He had explained everything. The network. The warning. The orders to return, and his decision to disobey those orders. Some of them looked shocked. Others looked worried. Sarah looked angry. This is insane, sir. Sarah stepped forward. You are throwing away everything. Your career. Your reputation. Maybe your freedom. And for what? A vision. A feeling. For the truth? Kus met her eyes. For the chance to prove that humanity can be more than we are. That we can take risks and trust allies and face threats together instead of alone. I know it sounds crazy, Sarah, but I believe it is worth doing. Then let me come with you, Sarah said firmly. You will need backup. Someone to watch your six while you are off having visions with your new Velrothi friend. Oh, no, I need you here. If this goes wrong, my crew needs a commander they can trust. Someone who followed orders and can honestly say they had no part in my decisions. That person is you, Sarah. She looked like she wanted to argue, but finally nodded. What should I tell Earth Command when they ask where you are? Tell them the truth. Tell them I have gone to find proof. Tell them I will return when I have evidence they cannot ignore. And Sarah? Marcus put a hand on her shoulder. Tell them I am sorry, but I am not wrong. An hour later, Marcus guided a small shuttle away from the Pathfinder. Beside him in the co-pilot seat was Aryava's. She had left the luminous path in the hands of Terinvas. They were alone now. Two beings from different worlds flying into the unknown together. No turning back now, Marcus said. No turning back, Aryavas agreed. Her lights pulsed softly in the dim cabin. But that is how all great journeys begin, Marcus. With a single step into uncertainty, Marcus engaged the faster-than-light drive. The stars stretched and bent around them. Behind them, they left safety and order and everything they had known. Ahead lay only mystery and danger, and the slim hope that they were doing the right thing. But for the first time in his life, Marcus Chen felt truly alive. Hashi caught him staring. Don't just look, human. Touch. # Part 4. Breaking protocol. The small shuttle drifted in the shadow of an asteroid field. Marcus watched the scanner display carefully, looking for any sign of pursuit. They had been running for 5 days now, jumping between systems and using every trick he knew to cover their trail. So far, they had stayed ahead of both human and Velrothi search parties. But luck could only last so long. The next terminal should be in the Carrick system. Aryava studied the star charts on her console. According to the pattern we identified from the network, the ancient builders placed terminals in regions with high concentrations of habitable worlds. Karak has 7 planets in the life zone. It matches the profile perfectly. Marcus rubbed his tired eyes. They had been taking turns sleeping in the tiny cabin, but neither of them had rested well. The shuttle was not designed for extended missions. Food supplies were running low. The recycling systems were operating at their limit, and the isolation was beginning to wear on both of them. How confident are you about this pattern? Marcus asked. We have jumped to 4 systems already. All of them had the right characteristics. None of them had a terminal. I am as confident as I can be with limited data. Aryavez turned to look at him. Her lights pulsed slowly, indicating fatigue. But you are right to question. We may be wrong. This may be a waste of time and resources. I did not say that. Marcus met her gaze. I just want to make sure we are not chasing shadows. You regret coming with me? Marcus thought about the question. He thought about his comfortable quarters on the Pathfinder, his crew who trusted him, his career that was likely destroyed by now, his family back on Earth who would be ashamed of his choices. No, he said finally. I do not regret it. Even if we fail, at least we tried. That is more than most people can say. Aryavaz reached across the small cabin and touched his hand. The contact sent a familiar tingle through his skin. They had maintained physical distance during the journey, trying to stay focused on their mission. But now that simple touch reminded Marcus of the connection they had shared in the ancient chamber. The moment when their minds had joined and he had truly understood her. Thank you, she said softly, for trusting me, for believing in something you could not prove. That is not the human way, but you did it anyway. Maybe it should be the human way. Marcus squeezed her hand gently before releasing it. Maybe we have been wrong all this time, playing it safe. Keeping our distance, what has it gotten us? We are still alone out here, still viewed as the nervous newcomers by the other species. You are too hard on your people, Marcus. Humans have accomplished incredible things. You spread across your solar system with primitive technology. You developed faster-than-light travel independently. You survived first contact with 3 hostile species and emerged stronger. That takes more than caution. It takes courage. Then maybe it is time we showed that courage in a different way. Marcus turned back to his console. Set course for the Carrick system. If there is no terminal there, we will try the next system. And the next? We will search until we find proof, or until they catch us. Either way, we do not give up. The shuttle's engines hummed to life. Space twisted around them as they jumped. 3 hours later, they emerged near a yellow star with 7 planets orbiting in perfect harmony. Marcus immediately started scanning. For energy signatures that matched the network terminal they had found, nothing. He expanded the search pattern. Moving the shuttle slowly through the system, Aryavaz monitored her own sensors, looking for any trace of ancient technology. Hours passed. Marcus felt hope beginning to drain away. Maybe this was all for nothing. Maybe they were just 2 fools flying through space chasing a dream. Wait. Aryavaz leaned forward. I have something. Faint, but definitely there. Fourth planet. Northern continent. The signature matches. Marcus changed course immediately. The fourth planet grew larger in the viewport. It was beautiful. Blue oceans. Green countenance. White clouds swirling in patterns that reminded Marcus of Earth. According to the scans, it even had an atmosphere humans could breathe. They descended through the clouds and found themselves above a vast forest. The energy readings led them to a clearing where ancient stone pillars stood in a circle. In the center was a platform identical to the one they had found on the dead planet. This is it, Marcus brought the shuttle down carefully. This is really it. They landed near the pillars. Both of them rushed out of the shuttle, eager to examine their discovery. The terminal looked exactly like the first one, but the symbols were slightly different. The energy flow was stronger, more active. This terminal is better preserved than the first. Aryavas ran her hands over the symbols. It has more information stored in its systems. If we connect here, we might learn much more, including evidence of the threat. Marcus asked. I hope so. That is why we came. Marcus looked around the clearing. The forest was quiet, too quiet. No birds sang. No insects buzzed. It was as if the entire ecosystem was holding its breath. Waiting. Something feels wrong. Marcus put his hand on the weapon at his hip. A standard-issue plasma pistol. He had never fired it at a living target, but he was trained to use it if necessary. I feel it too. Aryavas turned in a slow circle, studying the tree line. We are being watched. The trees exploded with movement. Figures emerged from the shadows. They were armored and armed. Marcus recognized the design of their equipment immediately. Krell raiders, at least 20 of them forming a circle around the clearing. One of the Krell stepped forward. He was larger than the others, with scars covering his exposed skin. He spoke in a rough voice using a translator device, human and Velrothi, together. How touching, he gestured at the terminal. You led us right to another treasure. We followed you from the moment you left your ships. You were so busy searching you never noticed our scout vessel shadowing you. Marcus raised his weapon, but he knew it was useless. They were outnumbered and surrounded. What do you want? What do you think? The ancient technology? These terminals are worth more than entire star systems to the right buyers. We will take this one and any others you help us find. We will never help you. Aryava's S-lights flashed red. A sign of anger Marcus had learned to recognize. Oh, I think you will. You see, we want to know what these terminals do. We want to know how they work. And you two seem to be experts. The Krell leader smiled, showing sharp teeth. So here is what will happen. You will activate this terminal. You will show us how to use it. And if you refuse, we will simply kill you and take it anyway. Your choice. Marcus and Aryavas exchanged glances. They had come so far, risked so much. If the Krell took control of the network, the ancient warning would never be heard. The knowledge would be sold to the highest bidder. Everything the builders had tried to preserve would be lost. I need to activate it, Aryavas whispered. It is our only chance. What are you talking about? Marcus kept his voice low. That is exactly what they want. Trust me, please. Like you trusted me before. Marcus looked into her dark eyes. He saw determination there, and something else. A plan. She had seen something in the terminal that he had not. Some possibility he did not understand yet. Fine. Marcus lowered his weapon. He spoke loudly so the Krell could hear. We will activate it. But we need to both touch the terminal simultaneously. That is how the connection works. The Krell leader nodded. Do it. But know that if you try anything, my warriors will fire immediately. You will be dead before you can blink. Marcus walked to the terminal. Aryavas joined him on the opposite side. They reached out and placed their hands on the ancient stone. The moment their skin made contact, the familiar surge of energy rushed through Marcus. But this time, it was different. Stronger. More focused. Images flooded his mind. Not just visions of the past, but real-time tactical data. The network was showing him the positions of every Krell warrior, their weapons, their weak points. It was analyzing the situation and providing solutions. battle strategies that would never have occurred to Marcus alone. And he realized something incredible. The network was not just a repository of knowledge. It was a tactical system, a tool designed to help different species coordinate during combat. The ancient builders had not been destroyed by the threat they warned about. They had fought. And this was their weapon. Through his connection to Aryava's, Marcus felt her understanding the same truth. She was seeing the same data, processing it the way Velrathi minds processed. Information, fast, intuitive. While his human mind provided strategic analysis and long-term planning, together they were accessing something neither species could use alone. True cooperative warfare. Minds working as one, but each bringing their unique strengths to the whole. The terminal blazed with light. Energy erupted from the platform, creating a dome of force that expanded outward. The Krell warriors were thrown backward. Their weapons fell from their hands. They scrambled to retreat, but the network held them in place. Paralyzed, harmless, Marcus and Aryava stood at the center of the dome. Energy crackled around them. The network responded to their joined consciousness, creating exactly what they needed. A perfect defense. What is happening? Marcus gasped. The sensation was overwhelming. He could feel Aryava's thoughts mixing with his own. Could sense her tactical awareness combining with his strategic thinking. They were not just connected. They were unified. The network recognizes us. Aryava's voice seemed to come from far away and right beside him at the same time. It recognizes cooperation. It gives us its power. Through the energy field, Marcus saw movement in the sky. Ships were entering the atmosphere. Large ones. Military vessels. His heart sank. More enemies. They could not fight an entire fleet, no matter what the network gave them. But as the ships grew closer, Marcus recognized the designs. One was human. A destroyer-class vessel from Earth's fleet. The other was Velrathi. A diplomatic cruiser with distinctive energy sails. The ships landed outside the clearing. Hatches opened. Troops poured out. Marcus saw Admiral Richardson emerge from the human ship. On the Velrathi side, a tall figure in ornate robes appeared. Probably a council member. The network's energy field faded. Marcus and Aryava's removed their hands from the terminal. They stood together facing the new arrivals. The Krell warriors remained on the ground, stunned and defeated. Admiral Richardson approached slowly. His face was unreadable. Commander Chen, we have been searching for you for 5 days. You have a lot to answer for. Yes, sir. I know, sir. Marcus stood at attention. But before you arrest me, you need to see something. The network. It is more than we thought. It is proof of everything we reported, and it is the key to facing the threat. We know. The Velrathi council member spoke. Her voice was melodic and ancient. That is why we are here. 3 days ago, our deep space sensors detected something at the edge of the galaxy. Something massive. Something moving toward populated space. Your warning was correct. The threat is real, and we need to learn everything these terminals can teach us. Marcus felt his legs go weak. They believed him. Both governments believed him. He looked at Aryava's and saw relief flooding her features. Her lights pulsed in rapid patterns that he now recognized as joy. Then we have work to do, Marcus said. The network can teach us to fight together. Human strategic thinking combined with Velrathi intuitive combat, but it requires direct connection. Cooperation at a level neither of our species has attempted before. Are you ready for that? Admiral Richardson and the Velrathi council member looked at each other. Something passed between them. An understanding. A decision. Show us. Admiral Richardson said. Show us how to work together. How to stop just looking and start touching. We are ready to learn. Ash, she caught him staring. Don't just look human. Touch. # Part 5. The new frontier. The combined fleet hung in space at the edge of known territory. 60 human ships formed precise geometric patterns. 50 Velrathi vessels moved in fluid formations that seemed almost organic. For the first time in history, two species had assembled. Not as cautious partners, but as true allies. Preparing to face a common threat, Marcus stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned flagship, Unity. The ship had been built in record time using both human and Valwrathi technology. It was a hybrid vessel designed from the beginning for cooperative operation. Every station had seats for both species. Every system could be controlled by either human logic or Valwrathi intuition. Aryavas worked at the science station. Beside him, in the 3 months since they had activated the second terminal, she had become his partner in every sense that mattered. Not romantic exactly, though. Marcus would not have objected if it became that. But something deeper than romance. A connection forged through shared purpose and absolute trust. The entity will reach this position in approximately 2 hours. Aryavas studied her displays. Its mass is beyond our ability to measure accurately. Its energy output exceeds anything in our combined databases. Every scan suggests it is not a ship or a weapon, but a living thing, something that evolved in the void between galaxies. And it eats civilizations. Admiral Richardson stood at the command platform. He had been given overall command of the human forces. The Valwrathi Council member Elder Sorisvaz commanded their fleet. Together, they directed the combined operation. The ancient records were clear on that point. It detects concentrations of organized energy, technology, life. It consumes everything and leaves nothing but dead worlds. The records also showed how to fight it. Marcus brought up tactical displays. The ancient builders managed to wound the entity. They drove it away from their space. But they failed to destroy it because they could not fully cooperate. Their different species worked together, but they maintained separation. They never achieved true unity, and we can. Elder Sorisvaz turned her ancient eyes toward Marcus. You believe humans and Valwrathi can do what a dozen ancient species could not? I do. Marcus gestured to the terminal interface they had installed on the Unity's bridge. It was a replica of the ancient technology, but enhanced with modern systems. We have practiced for 3 months. Hundreds of crews from both species learning to connect through the network. Learning to share thoughts and coordinate actions at a level that seems impossible. But we have done it. We are ready. The question is whether ready will be enough. Admiral Richardson looked at the main view screen. It showed empty space, but they all knew what was coming. We have never faced anything like this. We barely understand what it is. Then we learn by doing. Aryavas stood and walked to the terminal. That has always been the Valwrathi way. And Marcus has shown me it can be the human way too. We do not wait for perfect understanding. We act with courage and adapt as we go. Alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. The view screen filled with swirling colors that hurt to look at. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as the entity emerged into normal space. It was massive, beyond comprehension. Its form constantly shifted and changed. One moment, it seemed like a cloud of dark energy. The next, it appeared solid and metallic. Appendages that might have been tentacles or might have been sensor arrays reached out in all directions. At its center was something that looked almost like an eye, a point of absolute darkness that seemed to pull light itself into oblivion. All ships report ready, the communication officer called out. She was human, but her Valwrathi partner stood beside her, sharing the console. Fleet formation is holding. The entity is scanning us. Aryavas reported. It has detected our presence. It is analyzing our energy signatures, deciding if we are worth consuming. Then let us show it we are not easy prey. Marcus walked to the terminal. Aryavas joined him. They placed their hands on the ancient technology together. The connection blazed to life instantly. After months of practice, they could establish the link in seconds. Marcus felt his consciousness expand. He was still himself, but he was also Aryavas. He was also every human and Valwrathi crew member connected to the network across the entire fleet. Hundreds of minds working as one. Human caution and strategic planning flowing seamlessly into Valwrathi, intuition and adaptability. Through the network, Marcus gave orders without speaking. The fleet responded instantly. Human ships moved with Valwrathi grace. Velrethi vessels executed human precision maneuvers. The two formations merged into one, a single unified force that moved like a living organism. Open fire. Admiral Richardson commanded. Energy weapons blazed across space. Human plasma cannons and Velrathi particle beams struck the entity from a dozen angles. The ancient thing reacted with what might have been surprise. It had not expected organized resistance. The attacks were not enough to hurt it, but they got its attention. The entity lashed out. Appendages of dark energy swept through the fleet. 3 human ships and 2 Velrathi vessels exploded instantly. Their shields might as well have been paper. Marcus felt the deaths through the network, felt the connections break as minds were extinguished. It was agony, but he could not stop to grieve. Not yet. It is adapting to our weapons. Aryava's voice echoed through his mind. We need to change tactics. Agreed. Marcus reached deeper into the network, into the tactical archives left by the ancient builders. They had documented their own battles with the entity, had learned its weaknesses through terrible cost. The entity was not truly alive, not in any way organic species understood. It was more like a force of nature, a cosmic process that had somehow gained awareness. It fed on organized energy, but it could be disrupted by chaos, by patterns it could not predict or adapt to. All ships scatter formation, Marcus ordered. Random vectors. No pattern. Make yourselves impossible to target. The fleet exploded outward. Each ship moved independently, following instinct rather than plan. The entity's next attack missed completely. Its appendages swept through empty space, grasping at targets that were no longer there. Now concentrate fire. Admiral Richardson saw the opening. All weapons on the central mass. But the entity was already adapting. It began to pulse with energy, creating a field that deflected their attacks. Marcus felt frustration building. The ancient builders had driven this thing away, but they had never found a way to truly hurt it. How were humans and Velrathi supposed to do better? Through the network, Marcus felt Aryava's thoughts. She was analyzing the entity's energy patterns, comparing them to Velrathi's understanding of quantum mechanics. And she was seeing something. A possibility. A weakness the ancient builders had never discovered because they thought too much like soldiers. They had tried to fight the entity with weapons. But what if weapons were not the answer? Marcus. Aryava's mental voice was urgent. The entity feeds on organized energy. Our attacks only make it stronger. But what if we gave it energy it could not digest? Energy organized in a way that contradicts its nature? Marcus understood immediately. His human strategic mind connected with her Velrathi intuition. Together they saw the solution. It was crazy. It would require every ship in the fleet to synchronize perfectly. One mistake and they would all die. Need to create a resonance cascade. Marcus spoke aloud so the command crew could hear. Every ship will need to tune their engines to the same frequency. Then we pulse that energy directly into the entity. Not as a weapon. As information, as consciousness, you want to force-feed it awareness. Admiral Richardson looked shocked. That is insane, Commander. It is also our only chance. The entity consumes energy en masse, but it has never encountered organized consciousness before. If we flood it with our thoughts, our memories, our very sense of self, it will either have to adapt and become something new, or it will collapse under the weight of awareness it cannot process. Elder Sarasvas stepped forward. Her lights pulsed in complex patterns that Marcus now understood indicated deep thought. This requires absolute synchronization. One ship out of phase could destroy the entire fleet. That is why we need the network. Aryava's gestured to the terminal. Every crew connected. Every mind working as one. Humans and Velrathi perfectly unified. It is what the ancient builders could never achieve. But we can. We have practiced for this. Admiral Richardson and Elder Sarasvas looked at each other. An entire conversation seemed to pass between them in that moment. Then they both nodded. All ships connect to the network. Admiral Richardson commanded. Prepare for synchronized energy pulse. Across the fleet, hundreds of crew members moved to their terminals. Human hands and Velrathi hands touched ancient technology. Minds joined. The network blazed with power as the largest cooperative connection ever attempted came online. Marcus felt them all. He felt Sarah on the Pathfinder, felt Tarinvas on the luminous path, felt soldiers and scientists and engineers from two worlds, all becoming one purpose, one mind, one weapon. Now Marcus and Aryava spoke simultaneously. The fleet pulsed. Every ship released energy at exactly the same instant and exactly the same frequency. The combined output was staggering. A beam of pure, organized consciousness struck the entity at its central point. The entity screamed, not with sound, but with twisted space-time itself. Reality rippled outward from the impact. The ancient thing convulsed. Its form began to break apart, because Marcus was right. The entity could consume energy and matter. It could adapt to any weapon, but it could not process consciousness. Could not digest the organized thoughts and memories and hopes and dreams of hundreds of living beings, all unified in purpose. The entity tried to flee. Its massive form began pulling away, attempting to return to the void between galaxies. But the fleet did not stop. They poured everything they had into the beam. Centuries of human struggle and Velrathi wisdom, love and hate, joy and sorrow, every experience that made them who they were. The entity collapsed. Its form fragmented into pieces that dissipated like smoke in solar wind. The darkness at its center flickered and died. The threat that had destroyed countless civilizations, the horror that had driven the ancient builders to extinction, gone. Destroyed not by superior weapons, but by something it had never encountered. True cooperation between different kinds of minds. The connection broke. Marcus stumbled backward, gasping. Aryavas caught him before he fell. Around the bridge, crew members collapsed into their seats, exhausted but alive. The view screen showed empty space. No entity. No threat. Just stars and the quiet beauty of the cosmos. Report. Admiral Richardson's voice was hoarse. Casualties? 15 ships lost, the communication officer reported. She was crying, but she smiled through the tears. But the rest are intact. We won. We actually won. Cheers erupted across the bridge. Human and Velrathi crew members embraced. Some cried. Some laughed. All of them knew they had just witnessed something historic. Not just a military victory, but proof that different species could become something greater together than they ever were apart. Marcus looked at Aryevas. She looked back at him. No words were necessary. They had started this journey months ago in an observation deck. A Velrathi woman, challenging a human man to stop just looking and start touching. To take risks and trust in connection. What now? Aryavas asked quietly. Now we keep going. Marcus gestured to the view screen. To the stars beyond, we keep building this alliance. We find more species who are willing to try. We make sure the ancient builders' sacrifice was not in vain. We create the united civilization they dreamed of, but never achieved. Together? Aryavas held out her hand. Always together. Marcus took her hand. The familiar warmth of connection flowed between them. Not just physical touch, but everything it represented. Trust, cooperation, unity. Admiral Richardson stood at the command platform. He looked older than he had at the start of the battle, but also somehow younger, as if a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. Commander Chen, Aryavas. On behalf of Earth Command and the Velrathi Council, I want to thank you. Your courage and your vision saved us all. What are your orders? Marcus realized with a shock that he was being asked to command not just this ship, but this entire new chapter in history. He looked at Aryevas and saw the same realization in her eyes. This was their responsibility now. The future they had fought for. We explore, Marcus said firmly. We take this fleet and we search for other species. We share what we have learned. We build a real alliance. Not based on fear or caution, but on trust and cooperation. And we never forget what the ancient builders taught us. That standing together, we can face anything. That touching is better than watching. That connection is strength. The crew returned to their stations. The fleet began moving forward. Human and Velrathi ships side by side heading deeper into unknown space. Behind them, they left the site of their victory. Ahead lay infinite possibilities. Marcus stood with Aryavas at the heart of the Unity, two beings from different worlds. A human who had learned to take risks, a Velrathi who had learned patience. Together, they were proof that differences could be strengths, that fear could be overcome, that the future belonged to those willing to reach out and touch it. The stars waited, and they were ready.